Hey, how we doing? It's Don. Hope everybody is doing well today. I literally just sat down like 2 minutes ago, if even that long ago. It's just been a whirlwind of a last couple of weeks between sales and other things going on. We're going to touch on, I'm just going to give you some updates later on here too. We'll touch on fourth quarter a little bit. For those who have watched the show for a little while, I bought my fourth quarter stuff, wholesale and all that kind of stuff last year, before, right around Christmas time. I probably waited a little longer than I would have, but I think it was like the first week in December. Maybe it was November. I'd have to ask the wife. She'd remember. She usually keeps or writes the checks on those kind of things. But point of it is, we already took care of that. Through summer now, our time right now with what's going on right now, we're actually backing off. My pickers are slowing down. So we've bought a ton of stuff throughout the season. If you want to, maximize your profits and maximize everything that's going on, you buy when stuff's cheap. Everything's cheap in the summer. Don't worry about what everybody calls dead pile or anything like that. If you're buying it for back stock, you're buying it to have. So I don't source hardly at all in the winter anymore. I don't do thrift stores because they're all closed, all the decent ones. The rest pull or send them somewhere or auction them online. Even Salvation Army, I know for sure, is pulling out high dollar stuff. I haven't figured out where it's going. They wouldn't get into that. Manager wasn't handy. I wasn't going to sit there and wait an hour to talk to somebody. So somebody out there probably knows. If you do, just pop it in there. I'd be just curious to know what Salvation Army's doing with their stuff. So I set myself up. We learned last year, trying to get stuff, January, February, March for last year's, for 2019's Christmas. And we were already behind the ball. People already beat us by 4 months. So this year we hit it a year in advance, just over a year in advance. And you learn and you live. Just like if you go to trade shows, sometimes you're purchasing 18 months in advance, depending on obviously when the trade shows are. But it's usually like an 18-month time frame if you go to a trade show and you're going to buy a ton of wholesale stuff. So, that's a big model that works. There's certain items that we sell all year round. It doesn't matter, wholesale or not, that are out there that you can get at reasonable rates, especially after Christmas, like when the markdowns go on things like I've talked about it. I don't think it's any big secret. Christmas lights we sell all year round, the new ones, NOS last year's stock. When they mark it down, I'll hoard it. I don't care if it sits around, whatever the case may be with that kind of stuff. You hoard it and you pull it on through and list it. I list them high. I don't sit there and argue with people. I don't do repricings on most things. I just list it where it's at. If it doesn't sell, a different story, but usually the other folks will run out. They'll fight over it, and at the end of the day, I'll wait another month or two. All the small wigs are gone, and then my stuff goes. So that's usually what happens. I don't know everybody else's take on it. I'm not going to race to the bottom, so that's just a little touch on fourth quarter. I've talked about it again before. I know there's new folks that are just getting into it. There's still tons of stuff you can do for fourth quarter. It's just going to take you time to figure out what to do and which aspect to take on all this. Give me just a second here. I'm just going to switch screens to a live shot of pretty much what you guys are looking at. A little easier to see the chat that way. I've been playing around with some other stuff here. I do have a new wire showed up today. It's not really what I was looking for. I do have some sound issues. Aaron pointed it out as well, too. So if anybody has static or anything like that, just let me know if you're hearing anything. I literally didn't even have time to test it. The box I got literally is right here. It came all bashed up and smashed. I usually just buy the Amazon Basics for just temporary ones. I don't know what everybody else buys, but they're rated just as high. They're made by some major manufacturer, but anyway. I have some issues here. We also had a couple other glitches for a Patreon video that I had. I may step off shot here in a few moments or a little later in the video just to show something that I picked up here. It's a big box. I didn't think to slide it over here, but I'm going to be going over it in Patreon, and I thought I might call it out too. Duncan Knows Stamps. I have 3, it's about 150 pounds worth of stamp books and just stamps that I'm going to go through in Patreon. It's literally how I bought them. I haven't pulled a single stamp out of this collection. I spent some money on it, needless to say, because there's quite a bit of stock there. There's 100,000 stamps, maybe more. I don't know. Stamps, it doesn't take much to have 100,000 stamps. I know people think that's some crazy number, but I would never sell them in whole. I'd probably break them up in sets and books and things, but I'll be going over that. I may show it because it's a pretty massive. I got one box here that weighs about 50 pounds. So anyway, I love that kind of stuff. It's small, takes up no space. You can throw it on a scanner. Nothing to mail. I do send everything first class with tracking, so even a postage stamp that somebody buys is going to go out for, $3 or better. $3.79 I think is the cheapest what it is now. I would imagine everybody could hear me, I hope. I did test my equipment earlier. I was doing stuff all day long. I've been up since 6:30 this morning. I'm literally pumped up on adrenaline from running around all day long. There's a few folks that know it. There was a plane crash about 2 miles from our house, and I guess it was a big cargo plane. I haven't even wanted to go over there, and it hit Bubba's Diesel out by our house, and it's like a diesel repair place. I've been in the parking lot before. I mean, it's really accessible, and they delayed school, and there was some bus issues because the main highway was closed yesterday, or maybe it was the day before. I think it was yesterday. But anyway, my week's just been all over the place with stuff going on, and I live near an airport. They fly over our house occasionally, so I didn't hear it. Just saw smoke in the morning from a crash. So it was all over the news around here. I don't know if it made world news or even CNN or Fox or anything, but it was a pretty big cargo plane from what I understand. It hit a couple diesel trucks that were loaded, and it just burst into flames. I think both the people died, unfortunately, in it, but apparently there's rubble everywhere. We just had 2 train derails. We had in fact, I've got pictures of the train derail because it sent off like, I don't know, 15 or 20 cars down in, what's the name? It's Crissy. It's on Crissy near our house, and it literally is the second time a train's derailed there. When this happens, it cuts this off to like highway. We got to reroute because it cuts off main ways, especially if the train's down and blocking other tracks and stuff like that. It's not the only time that's happened, but anyway, so there's been a lot of stuff, not just, with family and life, and my son's had some issues and stuff. I took him to the doctor the other day, and so we're just working through everything. I got that going on. For those in Patreon, I do have, as I said, I've got, if you didn't see the video, I put a video up today. There was a couple folks asking on military uniforms. The video literally should show you how to ID date-wise your uniforms very easily. But I've got another guide segment coming out. It's going to be a bunch of alphabet letters this time, trying to fill it in a little quicker so I'm not holding everything up. So anyway, let's see who's here. In fact, let me make sure no one's yelled out that they can't hear me, because it would be an awful waste of time if I sound great. Okay, that's all I needed to hear. Again, I do have a new cable. I was shocked when I couldn't find at like 6 different stores I think it's a mini B is what it's called. It's a USB to mini B. In fact, I got a 6-foot, and I think I need a 10-foot, but because it's really tight where it's at. So anyway, for those who liked the jewelry store visit with Ed at Estate Jewelers, had a real pleasant conversation with Ed. He's going to set up everything for us. We're going to go in there with a couple different cameras. I'm going to bring a couple people. You'll see my oldest son's going to be in there as well, too. We're going to start to finish. You're going to see every process that you could imagine from every angle that we can imagine. We're going to put that on the other channel, and because I don't want to be mixing reseller with this, he resells. We're going to touch base on his eBay business as well. You're going to get to see what a upper level business does. And then I'm not going to say what he does a year. We did discuss like financials and stuff a little bit too, but that's off record between me and him. But he's a substantial business, well beyond anything that I've ever met or know from the jewelry business. Once in Florida, there was a place in Winter Garden area. I think it was called Brass Cannon Pawn Shop in Winter Garden, Florida, if I'm not mistaken. It's on Highway 50, or it was. Guy bought out the Astor estate, and he used to sell stuff to Shaquille O'Neal when Shaq was in town. It's the only one I know that did some substantial business. But this guy's straight. I believe him. He's up on the up and up. That video, I got a ton of comments on, I can't believe how honest and straightforward the guy is. And he literally is. The guy is really straight. I really sincerely felt like, he was being honest with me from the start. And usually I can get a feeling for people if they're being honest or just giving me BS or something like that. And this guy has always been straight. I literally, when my first talk to him, I called around. If you're going to sell gold, I'll give you the number one thing to do. Hang on just a second. Number one thing to do if you're going to buy gold or sell gold, we scrap anything. I'll scrap metals, copper, brass, whatever scrappable. If I get it in for nothing, like I'm buying a platter that weighs 5 pounds for 50 cents in a junk pile at a church sale, if it's brass, that's $3.30 a pound, times 5 pounds. So if I'm paying 50 cents, I'm making 12, 15 bucks minimum off of something like that. I know it may not sound like a lot, but you just throw it in a bin at the end of the month or whatever. You've got 40 pounds of copper, 40 pounds of brass. I mean, again, it all adds up. It's just a trip down the road for us because we've got a pretty decent recycler within, say, I don't know, 3 or 4 miles of us. So, that's another thing that you can do. But I mean, there's just so much stuff like that. Anyway, let's go see who's here before I keep rambling on here. Hey, Penny, how are you doing? Welcome, welcome. And of course, Duncan is up here. Let's make sure. Yeah, there's my first post. Happy Friday to you as well. Is not, yeah, it's Friday for him. So he's actually Friday the 13th already. I almost did a live show tomorrow on somebody else's channel, but things kind of happened and we had to move stuff around and stuff. So, better luck, I guess. Maybe we'll go out and do something, me and the wife, tomorrow. I'm not sure yet. Fourth quarter is already here. I would honestly say that I haven't had a chance to breathe. And, I hear mixed responses from people. Obviously, we've got quite a few subscribers these days. I do get, tons of comments and questions from people. Obviously, I can't answer anywhere near even a quarter of them at this point, just because of time and consideration. So I'm not trying to snub anybody. Let me just put that out there. But I've had mixed results. Maybe 45% of the people that have, I've conversed with or talked to have had real good sales, bigger than they've ever had before. Other group, the other 55% have been talking about lacking off on sales. It's school's back in. You're going to have slow sales in consumables and stuff, books and pencils and clothing specifically. So if you're doing clothing, you should see a slow off right now, in all honesty. Everybody spent the money on vacation. They bought the stuff before school started. Another month or two, it's going to pick back up. You got fourth quarter rolling into it. So I would not worry at all, especially if it's at a beginning of a month and you're already panicking on like the first week. I do projections. If you really want to feel more comfortable, do projections, and you can kind of see day by day where you need to be. It's honestly a big help, and there's nothing to it other than putting in some numbers. A couple numbers you can put in a day or at the end of the week. I would do it daily if you are really trying to figure out your financials and figure out what you should do at the end of the month. A projection is very easy to do. I've got videos on that as well. I was thinking about putting another one together. If anybody's curious on just doing simple projections just to set your mind at ease, what a projection will do is at the very first day of the month, you can guesstimate what you should do, by the end of the month. It's figured out from prior months and things like that. And it's usually dead on, it's very, very close. You can, set a clock by it for the most part. And most full-fledged brick and mortar, every national company does it. Everybody I've ever worked for does projections on a daily, even hour basis for projections. Like if you're working at a restaurant, if you're in a restaurant, and you're on Friday and Saturdays are usually the busiest days of the week, and you can usually judge them between, say, 5 on Friday and 11 if you close at 11, obviously. You're busy till the last minute. Sunday morning, it's the opposite. You're busy in the morning, and you're dying off by about 4. So depending on church rush and how many churches are in the area, and I know that sounds weird, but that's a real basis on figuring out all that stuff. It works for them by the hour. That's what we used to do. Every hour, management staff and almost in fact, in every restaurant I've ever worked, or even any place that took in cash, would track all of those aspects of it. And there's other people who tell the exact same thing. There's other YouTubers who do eBay that have worked in regional. Scott's another one there that, Bearded Picker and stuff. He's going to be on primetime too. So if you haven't heard that, he's going to be on Dom's show. But anyway, projections, I use all the stuff I used in my professional life working for other companies here on eBay. I know that may sound like an overkill, but it's paid off in the long run because I can control everything on a micro level without really doing much. My figures pretty much show what's going on. I put together a P&L at the end of the week. I know if I'm, profit and loss is a P&L for those who don't know. And I do that for my business here, for what I'm selling on eBay. And I can always judge on where we're going, where the business is tailing off. If a category is low, we had a category low this in the past, say, 5 or 6 days. All it took is a minute to realize that I hadn't listed many items in that category, so you list a few more items. That's what we did today. Another person took photos. He took about 400 photos today. He did other stuff too, but the photo part was for tomorrow. So my category's going up now. So, there's just so many things you can do to steer certain things. And I say category because if you're not paying attention to which categories you sell in that make you the most money, you're not you're not paying enough attention to your business. You need to know the categories that make you the most money and center in on those. Drop off the ones that you're making $1 or $2 on an item. Because I get, messages and things like that from people talking about, what's going on. And I look at stores occasionally. I trying to put together one for a Patreon group, but the point is that I'll see stuff that I'm like, it's just not worth listing this. It's this and that. There's all kinds of issues that it takes you time to learn. I messed up and did the exact same mistakes as everybody else did. Trust me, I made my fair share of mistakes in, the eBay world. I've messed up. I've sold stuff too cheap. I've, overpriced them. I've spent too much. Years ago. I don't do it like that anymore because I literally drew the line and said, let's run this just like I used to run a restaurant or a region and go from there. I literally used my, college business 101 classes and all that kind of stuff. I took accounting and all that. I don't like doing accounting, so I pay somebody. I don't want to mess with it. I don't want to fill my head up with other stuff because your mind should run the place and not have to do all the work. As a regional in a region, you ran your bosses and they did the jobs. That's what you did. You were technical. And as a general manager, you ran your assistants and the staff as the captain of the ship, I guess you could call it. And, from there. So your business is your ship. You're the pilot. You're in control. And you got to pay attention to everything, to know what's going on. I know that's a little bit of a rambling, but that's my take on it. I've had some conversations with people here in the last couple of days. So, this is literally straight from conversations with people and bringing up this exact same thought on this. I treat it as a full-fledged business as much as if it was a brick and mortar store. I treat the customers as I would if they were in my facility in person talking to me, and I treat them that way on in person or online. If somebody's paid too much for shipping, let's say the calculator is wrong, I always go and refund it without asking. It's just stuff like that going out of the way. And then they'll get an email and I'll always put the same thing. I got a file of cut and paste. Here's your thank you, blah, blah, blah. I combined shipping or shipping was an error or I messed up and boom, boom, here you go. It's fixed. That's just the way you should do it. Set up a pattern, do it the same way every single time, and it's going to steer you in the right direction. If you mess up or you figure out that your setup isn't working right, you switch it. It's a no-brainer. I'm sorry, let's go back up to some questions here. I ordered extra this year, but it's sold out already. Too many customers. Yeah, that's another thing. Somebody asked me, are you going to wait till a holiday to list this? And I was literally talking about this, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago on one of the live shows. We list it high now. I don't care if it won't sell till Christmas because in many cases we'll sell items higher this time of year, without even being in fourth quarter. So I don't really worry about that too much anymore. I list it, it sets, who cares? If you're new, you can't do that. It's something to either look forward to or it's not going to be your model. You can be successful with, doing certain types of business with only having, hundreds of items or even only 3 or 4 items. I know people who only have a handful of items and make more than me any day of the week. But, stuff like that you got to think about. I know there's somebody who's got a real good channel out here that makes over $5,000 a month on t-shirt designs that they do, and they'll crank out new ones all the time. Not copyrighted stuff, and they're really simpleton stuff too. They're not really fancy. They're mostly wording and stuff like that. I mean, I was really surprised, and I saw some figures, so it's not some fictitious thing. Everybody has a niche, and in all honesty, that's probably the best bet for a lot of people. I don't go with the flow, as anybody who comes to this channel knows. So I sell stuff that people think's bizarre, and who the heck would want that? Where are you going to find that? I constantly get stuff like that. But if you center in on something, you're going to understand all the aspects of the market, and finding something isn't so much the issue. It's hunting and pecking, get the right lots these days. I don't have problems picking up the stuff that I want, but I turn down more and more these days because it's more common stuff for me you're going to hit a point like that. You're going to hit a point where, you've got so much more of the common stuff. I got nothing into it, so it really doesn't matter. But, I these days look out for more high quality stuff, museum stuff, something that somebody's really going to want because it's just some primo item. If you are on my Instagram page, again, I've got an Instagram page, The Auction Professor on Instagram. I show stuff there that you won't see anywhere else. They're 60 seconds or so. I picked up some really nice Victorian Christmas decorations, and they're just the bomb. I've got thousands of dollars worth of them for just a couple $100. And I have a snippet. I'll probably have a new haul video since I picked up some pretty good stuff in the last week or so. I really wasn't sourcing, but again, with pickers, you have to go. If you don't go, you may not get them to call you again. Other people will take up the slack instantly. Finding a picker is rare, and then keeping them is pretty rare. You gotta, stick to your guns and show up every time and always be there on time and, buy something at least every time, because if you don't buy stuff and you keep going, they're going to stop calling you because it's a waste of their time in their mind. So, that's all surrounds picking in the whole aspect of it. Hey, Tara, how are you doing? Hustle and Grind Calgary, welcome from Canada. Carolina Picks, welcome as well. David, how are you doing, David? I won't be able to chat soon, so early question. I have heard today that folks are starting to be forced to register for managed payments with an actual deadline. Has anyone else heard this? I am honestly going to sign up for management payments on everything. I used it again the other day. Now, I've used managed payments, and if you buy or get your eBay boxes, you have to pay the tax on them. Everybody should know that. So I use management payments on there. Now, all you got to do to just pay with your PayPal is click the PayPal button, and instantly you're in PayPal. So I had no problem whatsoever. I personally have talked to people who buy from me and have bought from me in mass quantities of stuff. We've used it on another store. I'm just going to switch it over and not worry about it. And I would honestly, at this point, personally think that this is going to be a benefit because the people that I've talked to, and I called this out in another show, if those who remember and watch them, I've called it out, have you had a boost from doing this? Everybody that I've heard from had a boost from switching over because it offered all these other options, like Apple Pay, I think, was on there, and other stuff. So it opens up the playing field. So you've got to think that people that are coming there, and 20-30% of some folks out there, some of their business is coming from a Google off eBay site. And you can look that up on your marketing tab in your hub as well. So it's coming from off site. These people may not have a account to start off with. So you might lose that business. And that's the take on it from eBay, who has been pushing it, and everybody I've talked to. And again, I called this out in a survey, so hopefully you paid attention because I looked into this, and from what I see, I'm going to make more money by offering this. I'm going to do it before Christmas because it's already been going since last Christmas. So it's been vetted. I don't hear any complaints. I've personally used the new payment system, and the options were perfectly fine. It will allow somebody who doesn't want to sign up for PayPal or something to instantly use a charge card, Apple Pay, or many other options. And as time goes by, those other options, there's going to be more stuff added to it is the point. So at this point, I don't personally see any drawbacks whatsoever, but I see potential to increase your sales. I've used it. So if you're buying in boxes, as I said, how simple was it the last time you did it for this past quarter? Again, you only have to the 30th to use up your boxes for those who have a store and are getting the credit. We had $150. I used them up the other day. I bought or used them for 10 by 9s or 12 by 9 poly bags just to use them up because I'll use those at least. So managed care, Tara, or managed payments, that's going to be your call. But in my book, I've used managed payments on multiple occasions to buy bags, to buy boxes. I bought my 3.5 by 5.5 sleeves for postcards. I just bought 10,000 more of those. And all of it was managed payments. No issues. It was. I want to say it was quicker than doing it just with PayPal, straight through with PayPal, the old way, in all honesty, because you got to click and stuff. And it was just basically, a couple simple clicks. It was quick. I was impressed. It wasn't anything like it was 3 months ago when I got my boxes, or a month and a half ago when I bought my 2 mil bags for records and stuff. So my take on it is I'm just switching over to it. I would rather switch over now than switch over 3 months before, or 2 months before Christmas, because I've got usuals that always buy for me at certain times of year for crafts and stuff for the holidays. And right now I've got a lot of people buying craft items and die cuts and Christmas cards and all that stuff that they're making for bazaars and in church festivals and stuff. That's where all that stuff goes. A lot of my inventory right now, 15-20% of today's sales were in stuff that people are going to craft into something else. So, I play every market. I play the collector as well as the what you want to call it, the person who's going to redo it and make it into something else. So anyway, where are we at? Hopefully that answers your question, Tara. That's my opinion. It may not be the same one everybody else has, but you're going to end up having to do it. I've already seen it. I've already used it. I've got it on one store. I don't see an issue with it. I've said that before, but from all the feedback I got, it's good to go. Let's go. Hey, Johnsons, how are you doing tonight? Good to have you. Jeffrey D, welcome as well. Queen Victoria stamps on envelopes, old letters, old documents, old stamps. That is what Duncan is into too. I like Queen Vic stamps, in all honesty. I like the variety because you get them from each one of the colonies, and there's quite a variety. The stamp looks the same, but the name's different. Hong Kong are one of my favorite ones that are out there. I talk about China. I've got some really awesome panoramic China, Hong Kong downtown scenes. I'll probably do a little quick Instagram shot of them in the morning here. I literally didn't even have time to do Instagram today or anything else at all. And I had popped on Facebook the other day, and it's just been, my life's pretty full right now. For the good, things are really going in a direction. They've really pretty much spiked and are shooting up right now across the board. So, we're doing everything right. We're our foot's down to the floor. We've got the pedal to the metal, so to speak, across all lines. So with advertising, with arts and all that kind of stuff too. So anyway, let me just touch back on Ed before I forget. That's on a note over here, and I know I kind of veered off that to answer a question, but Ed's setting it all up for us. So again, other channel, I'll call that out again. You'll see some advertisements for it for the other channel. Part of it's going to be on here. You're going to hear from Ed on his eBay business, and you'll see where he does it and all that kind of stuff and what kind of jewelry. We'll get the dope on selling jewelry professionally on eBay. He wants to talk to me about doing Amazon, so maybe we'll work out something and I can get some insiders for you guys or something, some secrets or something out of the guy. He's really an honestly and sincere guy. And again, I just talked to him for quite a little while on the phone, so we're a go. Just waiting on the schedule. I've got Ian's going to film. My oldest son's going to be there. I'm obviously going to be there. We're going to take part in it because I love doing this stuff, and I do it with my kids, so I'm going to literally be hands-on in this video, hopefully as much as they'll allow me to do. I love using the equipment and all that kind of stuff here. My son is getting a propane kiln. We're going to get a decent-sized one that it will do, I think 6 pounds is what it'll do at a time. So I may shoot off some, videos on there too on some of that kind of stuff as well. So if you want to see making custom coins and jewelry and stuff on the other channel, you'll see it because he does it now. And I do have a link to his. He's got his own little mine's name on it. Nothing wrong. Billy Bobbis, I think, is what he calls this little thing. That's my son, my oldest son. If you ever want to know what he does, it's not everybody's cup of tea. He's his own world. He's a engineering student at UT here in town. He's in his third year. He's going to his third year. This is his third year. Time flies. So anyway, and he's going to be going to hopefully tentatively Penn State. We're hoping for a master's in engineering. So hopefully he's got it bright. He's got the smarts up on top. Not trying to brag. He's my boy, but he's ADD and just like me in the whole works. But he's just off the charts on the math and the science. When he was in grade school, he was leveling out at grade 17. We had to ask him on homework and stuff, in all honesty, when we were in college, me and the wife, which was, kind of funny to say, but I'll admit it, he dwarfed us in that. Other things now he has some issues with, directions he's terrible on, but I mean driving and stuff like that. But anyway, love my son to death, so, let's see here. Where were we at? Midwest Picker, hey, how you doing there? Treasure Experts, welcome. Yeah, there's Johnson. Let's go with the Johnsons talking about the post on Facebook for the managed payments. Honestly, I don't really see it as an issue anymore. Marion, welcome to the show. Truth Seeker, okay, welcome. Penny never found anything like that. Stamps are acquired taste. That's what I can tell you. I've occasionally around here been lucky enough to find somebody who bought a bunch and didn't know what they were doing. And I bought pallets before. You can ask the wife. I had to take several trips, and it filled our van up with no seats in it. So, I probably had 2,000 pounds in just a load of just stamp-related items. It turned out not to be mostly stamps, but the supplies, everything stamp-related we can sell. The hinges and stuff will sell. Even like the little hinges, even half-open packages I'm able to sell in bulk lots and stuff like that. So, I mean, anything stamp-related I can sell without an issue, even if it's in bulk, because you can get it fairly reasonably. I sell, new postage stamps. I'll spend and buy it for, 40 to say, well, I try to get it around 40, but I'll spend up to 50% on face value on new stamps. Obviously I investigate where they came from. I don't just buy bulk stamps from some Joe Schmo. I'm not going to buy stolen goods, but, and then I can sell it for 70, 75% on the dollar. So you instantly make money, and they're always worth at least face value for stamps. So if I ever got in a bind, I could just use them to mail stuff out. There's nothing wrong, and it's perfectly legal to do that. So, every aspect of stamps you can make money on. Every single aspect. I don't think there's a spot where you couldn't make money on stamps specifically. So I'm going to step off screen, and I know I almost never do that, but pardon me, I'm going to pull up a box here to just show you stamp and quantity what I'm talking about here. Okay, let me see if we're in how shot we are here, because I'm on a different... You can't really see the size of this box, but let's just say there's a lot in it. These are just books, and these are full of stamps. And I'm not exaggerating. These are full of stamps. I've got a bunch of boxes like this. There's literally about 150 pounds of this stuff, and they're binders and stuff just loaded with stamps and sheets. And every one has a very nice amount of stamps in them. Some of these are from old collections. Those are the ones you always, always want. The older the collection, the older the books, the better, usually, as long as they haven't been cherry-picked, which sometimes they are, because, the higher-end people, and the people like me, would pull out all the ones and then just turn around and quickly blow out the book, and, because those are all the junkers for most people. But, there's still some in there usually. But these have not been picked through. These are from an old-timers collection. Long story short, I do buy stuff. These were literally boxed up by me off of a shelf, and I just took everything off there. It was a call. Somebody referred me to somebody, so that usually works for me on this kind of stuff. Stamps are like an insider group to some extent, and I don't share stuff on stamps on open sites. That's going to be on Patreon, just FYI. We're going to go through, and I'm just going to show you and point out what to look for, because it's an easy one. But this is for everybody. We talk about supplies. All this stuff sells, everything. All these little reinforcers for pages, and again, hinges, show guards, magic mounts. Now there's some green in here, but this is another set of stuff like that. They're mounts to mount the stamps on. And just this little bit here is like 15, 20 bucks easy, I mean, it's nothing to it, too, so... that's the kind of stuff that I'll grab every day of the week and sell it all day long. Let me hop back over to the other screen here. So anyway, stamps are the bomb if you haven't done stamps before. If you haven't hit the like button, go ahead and hit the like button if you're enjoying the conversation today. I'm going to hammer some questions here, so thumbs up if you enjoy it. I got over 100, well, almost about 110 people looks like on now, so again, just hit that like button for me if you are enjoying it. Let's see here, where are we at? Hey Mary, how you doing? Good to have you. I know I've heard where you're from in Ohio, and I want to say you're on the other side of Dayton, if I'm not mistaken. I'm terrible lately this last week or two because I've just had so much stuff going on. It's been kind of insane lately. I honestly was prepared for Q4. I bought hundreds of vintage, but I didn't factor in having hundreds more buyers this year, and many are repeat buyers. Yeah, been talking about that a lot too. To advance a business when you're selling hundreds, you come to a point where you need to do something extra to get more stuff up, because you'll be selling so many if you're putting so much up that you're only gaining a few dozen maybe, at a time. So your goal is to get more and more up at the end of each month. 1,000 or more up at the end of each month has been our goal usually. But when you sell a ton of stuff, you got to keep putting more and more stuff up because you're selling more and more. So it increases your workload to get it up. We've, I think, broken through that aspect of it now with a couple ploys that we've done. So I think we're moving past that now. At least all my figures are going in the right direction again. So not like financially, but for increasing my volume of inventory active. Again, we're going full out on this. I'm going our own site across all platforms we can get to. Again, we make money on 9 different platforms. So if I got to add a few more platforms, or I'm going to cross list thousands of more items on other platforms, that's just fine. And that's a way to increase your money without actually investing any more money as well, obviously, because you've got the same merchandise. You don't have to buy any more merchandise you're buying exposure by putting them on another site. That's all you're doing. You're getting exposure. Your own site exposure, advertising your own site on all the other platforms, exposure. You really want them coming into your site as opposed to eBay or anywhere else. I know that's really a tough one these days because so many people do that, but that's where you're going to make the most money because you don't have to pay somebody commission. You only have to pay processing fees and then the fee to the site that you're on. And most of the sites aren't basing their fees on how much you sell, but rather on how many active sales you have. So, that's how I look at it. Hey, Merrick7, how you doing? Welcome back. Compadres Music Martinez. Hello, I have been to Austin. My wife's family has many that live in the Austin area. We went to Austin once. It's a real nice musical community there. Artsy, too. I liked a lot of that. Austin City Limits was there, too, obviously. I'm sure they still probably do that show, but... Duncan, yeah, he has people that he pays international. Hey, let me take another drink here. I've been talking all day to people. Like when around here or in Mississippi, I'll give you an example. When we lived in Mississippi, in Hattiesburg, there was people that brought in semi truckloads of stuff. They were literally in the cargo thing sent over. They'd buy like 4 or 5 of those, and there'd be pickers over in the UK that would pick up the 20s and 30s. British furniture, and it sold like mad in Mississippi. I mean, I'm telling you, we have a couple pieces that came off of those kind of things. I don't know what they called them. Maybe it was cargo sales or something like that. It was all vintage stuff, but times change, tastes change. That kind of stuff is stuff you'd find at antiques or even at thrift stores nowadays because it wasn't made super, super well. But for nowadays standards, it's nicer than the newer stuff for the most part, at least the common person's newer stuff. So there's people that pick that. They'd fill up these cargo things, and they'd fill up, 40, 50 of these things. And I'm talking, the 80,000-pound trucks that they have craned off of on a huge, massive ship, and then they would ship these in via either train to Hattiesburg or via, the back end of a trailer, hauling a trailer and stuff. This is a thing. It's been around for a long time. I'm sure they still do this in many parts of the country. And it would fill up, and they'd have auctions locally, and they'd sell one at a time, and they'd, 1 month would be one of the things. It just depends on how much business they got, but that's the whole model. There's people out there that just buy stuff for other people. There's services. I'm not going to get into who, what, where, how, and when, and I don't know if Duncan would care to either, but to some people, maybe to me in some extent, I don't give out certain information like that because it would give me competition. So, but there are services. I'm not going to deny that in any way, shape, or form. And Duncan uses some of those services as well. It's basically having a picker that's more of a professional business than it is someone like, another guy like me who just cherry picks other people. It's a business that does it. When I worked at Cracker Barrel, they had a company that they hired that bought all the signage and everything. There was a warehouse there. I got to see it. I've never seen so many soda shop signs and vintage signs in my life than I did when I was at Cracker Barrel's warehouse, their antique guy's warehouse. And it's somebody the owner knows, so it's not like it's a friend deal. It's not like just Joe Schmo down the street's going to get a deal with Cracker Barrel. Nothing wrong with it. I'd hire my friends because I would trust them more than somebody off the street, hopefully. So, no criticizing Cracker Barrel or anything for that. I like that, but, I still like their fried catfish, so and potatoes and the apples. So I worked there for a few years, and I got to eat there every day I worked there. And take food home. So I did like the food. I like the aspect that doesn't have a bunch of junk and fat. I love the carrots and the corn. I mean, I can cook it all here. I mean, it's no big deal, just like Applebee's menu. But anyway, let's go back off the tangent there. Hey, just in time flipping, how you doing today? Good to see you. It's raining here to where it was. We had a real big rainstorm through here, which was good, I guess, in a way. It hadn't rained in a while. It got hot again. It was a real nice day, and then we've had 85 or almost 90 here today. I own a guy that owns a estate sale company, and he always gets a phone call for the whole house, one price, but always says no. It just depends on deals and stuff like that. Like estate sale companies and stuff. There's all kinds of models that even an estate sale company will do. Some will work out deals, some will just buy out the whole estate. The ones that I know around here mostly will just sell it for somebody else, because then they're not out anything. They're not shelling out any money. Some of them might have a deal where they get first dibs to list something on an auction. They might charge a higher percentage on the items that go to an auction. It's a legit, it's all agreed upon. The owners of the items can see it go up and stuff, but they might charge a higher percentage, but of course the items may sell for a higher amount, and that's what some of the ones are doing. They'll auction off parts of it. It'll be like a mixed estate sale where it's partial auction online, and might not even know it. You might go to an estate sale and part of it's been auctioned before you even walked in the door. Just FYI. You got to know the estate companies around you to know how they do their business. And once you're nice enough and you talk to them, you can ask them if they do any online ones as well and stuff like that. They may announce it. They may give out their card and say right off the bat they do it. That always makes me assume right off the bat, too, that they probably cherry-picked the estate sale. But again, they're cherry-picking considered what may not be what I consider cherry-picking, because they're cherry-picking items that I may not even mess with in the first place, I go after the odd stuff because I make more money at it because there's less people involved in it. So not only is there less people involved, but there's less of it that's around and less people that know it and less of it listed online, so the prices are higher there than they are in other areas. Again, I just said it a little while ago. I center in on categories that make me more money. If they don't make me money, I'll lose them. I lost clothing because it really wasn't practical where I live. We've been out of town and sourced awesome clothing, or could have got awesome clothing, but not around here. The market was dead awful terrible for clothing. Hey Sue, how are you doing? Check out Sue's channel if you haven't. Sue's a real nice lady. She's done some work with us too. She's been in one of my videos also. I do watch those guys. In fact, I watched part of one of their live shows from this morning. I think the Bearded Picker, John's on there, Steve Alcorn, and then I'm not sure who the other gentleman was. Martinez, I could be wrong. I think it's somebody who works with John, but anyway. December 10th, my best day last year because I held my prices. Sold almost 400 items that day. I'm telling you, I don't care. I'm not racing to the bottom. Anybody who sees my pricing structure knows that I don't care if I price it higher than everybody else. I just sold, and I know this might not sound like a lot, but I sold a spoon of Huckleberry Hound for $5. Now, I paid $1. I made $3.30 or so, but I got a bunch of them. The average price in those is like $2 a piece. So I know it's not a huge thing, but I got a bunch of them, and it wasn't anything but buying them, and I know they're going to sell. They've been up a week or so. And I've already sold, that's 2 of them out the door already. So, all together I made $6 or $7. It takes a second. It's 2 photos. Normally I wouldn't mess with low-end stuff, but I got employees. It's no big deal. It's 1 photo, and I can list multiples. I don't have to take another photo because they're identical spoons. So, you got to think of employees like that. If you're only doing 1 photo and you can constantly relist another one, I may holler that one out too, because again, if you look at comps, they don't sell. So, but I know enough to wording helps on stuff like that even, and stuff like that. That's why it goes down to, it's a little aggravating that eBay has given us a hassle on listing certain items in certain categories, because I can sell stuff in different categories better than I could in the flooded categories. It's a ploy that everybody's been doing. It works, so. Yeah, I know I'm behind. Let me try and catch up here. Hey, Rusted Raccoon, how are you doing? Welcome, welcome. My death pile sold out. No slowdown, in fact, the opposite problem. I don't have a death pile. I've just got backstock, and I've got a lot of it. So if anything goes on, if I happen to pass or something or get killed in a car accident, there's enough stuff to last my wife and family a very, very long time without an issue. So anyway. Oregon Coast Estates, how are you doing? Welcome. Yes, fourth quarter, as far as I'm concerned, has long been here. We haven't slowed down since, last fourth quarter, in all honesty, but, I've centered in. I'm running the items longer, and I'm not ending auctions after, 29 days to, try and trick a system. Let them run. You'll get better play off of a Google search. I was talking to several people, and then it led to another platform on two different platforms about this. We were talking about, again, I'm not trying to call it anybody, but talking about people ending their listings. There's a lot of people that do this before the 30-day mark thinking they're going to get better leverage. And then they say, when I look at a Google search, I can't find my items. You're not going to find them if you end them in less than 30 days. If they keep relisting and running, it's the same basic listing over and over again, you're going to rank it. You're going to see them on a Google search. But if you're ending them, you're never going to see them. You're defeating the whole purpose of what eBay's been doing. That's how Amazon's very successful. If you Google search anything you're wanting, Amazon's at the top of the page because of that's what they're doing. eBay's catching up. I can assure you they are catching up. I can't turn on the radio or walk into a mall or anything without seeing or hearing something on eBay lately. I haven't heard a single Amazon commercial on the radio, in the mall, or in a store, or even in a broadcast on Hulu or anywhere else that I watch or do stuff on. I don't watch regular TV. We cut the cord like 16 years ago. I haven't had TV, satellite, or anything for 16 plus years. My kids only know the internet, only. They don't know anything about regular TV or satellite or any of that stuff. Since they were too young at that point to know anything. I think my oldest would have been like 3 when we cut the cord and went fully digital and online and the whole aspect of it. But let's see here. Compadre music. My biggest problem is figuring out postage shipping. I do calculated shipping for everything. Calculated shipping for every single thing I sell, and I charge for shipping on every single thing I sell. So I don't have to worry about anything. As long as you got the correct weight and the correct size of the item, you're all set. It's going to automatically figure it out for wherever they live. I know there's some people that had some issues with the calculator not working right. I haven't had one for probably 2 years with a calculator issue on eBay. And it was just a simple fix. eBay refunded me the difference that I was screwed on the postage for that. So I just moved on. No big deal. I know for some people maybe it was, so I'm not trying to belittle or make light or fun of anybody's situation on that. But I haven't had that experience, and we sell a lot of stuff and ship out a lot of stuff. So, again, it may not be for you. If you're selling clothing, I wouldn't recommend doing that. Hey, Junk and Data Girl, how are you doing this evening? Well, thank you, David. Hey, Hoptimon, how are you doing? I spent this week resetting my listings and selling, have picked up, ended a ton, made a few adjustments, listed, and all of a sudden sales again. Back to the resetting, that's again what maybe there's something to it, maybe there's, I don't know how to judge that one there. I haven't experienced that. We have a steady flow. Again, I do projections. I can pretty much tell you what I'm going to sell at the end of any given month, and it's usually within $100 or $2 right on the money. I mean, from day one of the first day of the month. And you can tell it by last year. You can see where your trajection's going. Make yourself a graph if that's what it takes. You can do that. You can do a pie chart if that's what you want. But mine's going up. So, I could break it down. The way I do it really does help if you look at it from a numbers aspect of it. And don't look at the items. Look at the categories. Your profit margins in a category, your items you're selling in the whole works. If you're making 5% one category and it takes a month to turn one specific item, it may not be worth it, obviously. But if you got categories you're making 10-15% profit on, or 50% or 80% profit, double and tripling your money, obviously that's where you want to go. You're not going to be able to just jump into any category like that. You're going to have to go through the growing pains and learn. You're going to have a big learning curve on anything like that. Yeah, thank you, just in time. Let me try and spit down here. There's tons of videos on shipping. I've got some on how to wrap it up if that's what you're talking about. I sold a stained glass window, so I'm going to show you tomorrow. I'll shoot it. I don't know when it's going to be up, but I showed it in a video here too. I just got it not too long ago. It was only up for a little while. I got 90 or was it 80, $79.99 for it. eBay gives you now, if you noticed, eBay has now done some new changes to the platform. If you haven't noticed, in fact, that's on my list. So why don't I just hit it right now? When you go to accept an offer now, it's set up differently. Sometimes it'll go to the person's name and you'll have to click on that, and then it'll expand on the offer. It depends on how long the item's been up, but once you get there, now it puts up automatically in a bigger box counter, a counter back offer chance on it. So, they're recommending counter. And on the far right now, they've added average sale price of the exact same item. Like for my stained glass window, it said $30 to $41, that same size. I don't know how they're figuring a matrix on that. I wouldn't believe that on odd items like that, but it's a 9-inch by 22 and some odd inch stained glass window that I yanked out of an estate sale out of a cabinet myself. So, it's an old piece, 1890s. I got, as I said, $80. They're saying 30 to 40. I don't know where they're coming up with those, but they've added in a lot more features. For the newer items, it's dead on. The prices on like some of the video games and stuff we've been selling, dead on. What their average price is a combination of what they've sold for now, and they're giving you that on your accept an offer page now when you go in to click to see if it, which I think is good, because in the past I always go back and check in what the average price and what it sold for before. Even if I listed it a week ago, I want to go back in and look at comped, to see what's going on, because there could have been 3 sold in that past week and now the price has fluctuated. Or one could have sold yesterday and it could have sold for double what the last one sold, and I might be able to get more out of it. And I can cite that in his counter offer. Say, hey, this one just sold yesterday for this much. How about this? I'll do that all the time. But now they're giving you the option, so it's going to save you a little more time. I think that's a good plus. It kind of ties back into Amazon, and for those who don't do Amazon, this might seem out there, but for Amazon, I'm going out there and I scan something. It'll tell me my profit on it. You can punch in some numbers and you know what your shipping policy is on Amazon. You can usually, if you've done it for a while, you know how much they're going to charge you and how much money you're going to get back from shipping through them, because you get a shipping credit, and it kind of waves out at the end. That's why people in the past, before they changed the fee structure, you could sell a book for $1 and end up making 2 or 3 because you're getting so much money back. As long as you did small and cheap books, we did very well on stuff like that. So that's just an aspect on it. So they've changed up that, and there's a couple other aspects like that they've been changing also. So for me, it's steering it in the right direction. On the other hand, they've got some stuff screwed up with the variations and stuff like that. They're just haywire on it. So, there's good and bads about everything. I'm it's a little frustrating that they're trying to be Amazon, but in a way, Amazon's trying to be eBay with, the collectibles section, and they're trying to be Etsy with homemade by Amazon, and I know there's some other folks who are in there now too that have been approved for the homemade section on Amazon. It's a viable platform for stuff like that too. Not as good. Etsy still, I will say, is the best for certain items, and then second is eBay, depending on what you're selling. Now, if you're selling stuff to make stuff, like selling crafting supplies to people, eBay's hands down, in my book, the best place for that. Because people who sell on Etsy will buy your stuff there for a little cheaper and then make something and then turn around and sell on Etsy for more money. That's a model that we like too. So just FYI. And I buy a lot of my art supplies to make the stuff that I do off of Pix. I don't think I've been into an art supply store recently other than buying Masonite board, which is a painting surface, like for painting oils or acrylics. In fact, the frog that I did, the astronaut frogs, on one piece of Masonite. We got approved for shirts too from that Teespring thing. So I'm going to have some options. I want one for myself. So anyway, I'm going to do a couple shirts there. So you will see shirts pop up here anytime. It's already up there. It just takes a day or so to get up. So there'll be some shirts, and I've had a couple people request the frog poster. So there's going to be an option to get a poster. Now I've really digitized it, cleaned it up, and everything else too. And I might go into that in another video on the other channel, because again, we do print our own artwork directly. We pay for it, and now with Teespring, I'll be able to not have to print everything. I can just run it and have them do it. And I've actually contacted them about offering a couple other options too. But anyway, so there'll be some other stuff coming on down the line. So that's just another option. Let's go back to the questions. I know I'm terrible on getting behind. Duncan, the Australian stamps. I've talked about. I have a collection of Australian stamps, and it's a very it's in a safe deposit box. If that tells you how good of a collection it is, and I bought it in a big, huge bulk lot for $150. And at that time, this was years back, I wasn't up on Australian stamps, but I've since learned very quickly. And they're all the territory, and it's a real nice collection. So anyway, I've been keeping those. I've been actually putting them in the books when I find some to fill in, and I've almost got like not the real early, the pre-Australia stamps, but I think from Australia I'm only missing a few scattered throughout the entire series. So one day I'd love to fill it up and then sell it as a complete set run of Australian stamps. Picking North, or NW I should say, welcome. Hey Michelle, how are you doing tonight? Good to have you. I find sales are slow when I need the money. Everybody's in the same situation, junking data girl. So that's how I take it. Everybody's went on vacation. They've spent the money for kids stuff for school. So now you've got a month or so where people are going to be tight on their spending. We went out to the mall and dinner and stuff, and even the mall was dead the other day. Restaurants were slow. Movie theater was slow, even on a hot time in the weekend. So I was just kind of surprised. But I don't go out there that much, so. Hang on, I think my feed's frozen up on me here. Yeah, I can't get my feed to move down. Oh, now it moved down like 20 pages. Hang on just a second here. Let's see if I can figure out where we are at. I apologize. Again, my feed I don't know everybody else's issues, but... Okay, I'm getting close. Sorry, again, this is something I have to deal with every time I'm on here. Let me go back up. I think I'm getting close. Boy, I'm really off in here. Yeah, I'm sorry, boy, my feed's really off. Okay, I got it. Yeah, Duncan's got his name in there if you guys want to check out his store. I don't mind that at all on his store. He sells kind of what I do. I've talked to Duncan for quite some time. He's a real nice guy. I know what he looks like. I know what you look like, Duncan. I've seen your wife. Your buddy just crashed his plane first flight. Wow. Yeah, that's the first time an airplane crashed out here that I'm aware of. We used to live on another side of town, and there used to be a small regional airport over there. And I remember when I was like 7 or something. I know Star Wars commercials were on TV. It's the only reason I could say I was about 7 or so. And one of the little, maybe it was like a Piper Cub or something crashed, little 2-seater in somebody's backyard. They survived. It was a low-level thing because the airport was just down there. But that's the only other time, other than, say, 9/11 when we were in D.C. and got to see that kind of crap. But Carlene, hey, how are you doing, Carlene? Moki Girl, welcome as well. They told you to switch over by October 22nd, so I can't list after that. No global shipping with that platform now, just in time for fourth quarter. I'm not going to worry about the global shipping because I think it's going to make up the difference on the payments option. From what I understood, it's going to be on there if it isn't already for most people, from what I thought I heard on that. Only because I was told they were going to have it fixed and have it on there. I'll have to look into that. In fact, I don't have a pen here, but I'm going to look into that too. Well, thank you, Marion. The moon, good things coming. I just had a package return. Seller gave me a bad zip code. Should I just refund the seller and send him a message about the zip code? You mean the buyer gave you a bad zip code, I'm guessing. Galaxy 5000. Should I just refund the seller? I guess I'm confused. If you haven't opened it, you used to be able to just write the correct zip code and drop it back in for redelivery without doing anything. That's what I've done in the past. Just cross it out, go down to the post office and tell them that the zip code was wrong, and they will drop it and send it back out. I've never had to pay again, not that I'm ever aware of, unless somebody else who ran postage for me down to the mail may have done it for me. I don't know. I don't always go through every receipt. Other people put those in, so. Dad's Vintage Garage, welcome from Virginia. I did spend some time, 3 years in Virginia, just outside of Pentagon City. Let me pop down. Chesapeake, Virginia. I've been through there once or twice. My sister-in-law was Virginia Beach Navy. Judith, yeah, the jewelry video. If you haven't seen that one, I think it's called Gold Buyer's Secrets or something like that. I can't remember the title on it, but the guy's awesome. Ed's a real good guy. His son works for him, and they've got gemologists and full-fledged jewelers there, which I don't think I've ever ran into a store that had a full-fledged gemologist on staff like that. The guy does some business. He's near the only mall in town, and I mean, it's just slammed sometimes of the year. That's why he can pay more than most people, because he gets so much business. I mean, he's in a higher rent area even. So, I mean, he moved down from out of town farther out to this section just to be in the main section of town. I mean, that's another ploy. You know, location is everything. Fourth quarters here is what I would say, Oregon Coast Estates. Yeah, Friday the 13th on Duncan already again. He's in Australia, so time zone change. He is ahead of us. Yeah, I don't blame you upset if they're demanding you to do that. I have not seen anything like that whatsoever. I don't know what their draw points is. Maybe they're trying to do the smaller sellers first. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe you're not a smaller seller. I know I've seen you on here before, Moki Girl. No offense whatsoever intended. I can't judge on your store level, but I haven't heard anybody say that to me at all. You're the first one I've heard that. I promise you I will look into that, if not even call eBay tomorrow on that. Because I swear they told me on a phone that I would have global shipping options just like I do now if I switched over. Because I talked to them not too long ago, and I brought that issue up. But again, you get different answers from different people sometimes. It's hard. I mean, it's hard. Even if eBay does everything they're supposed to and tells everybody, hey, talk about this, talk about that, you got to rely on the person to have read the material and paid attention to it. You know, nowadays it's hard to get people to even do that, it seems like, in some businesses. Yes, I wish I could feel confident to go into shop and ask questions like this. If you're talking about the jewelry, yeah, these days I used to be embarrassed and nervous about doing stuff like that, but you know, I don't really worry. I was an altar boy, and I served in front of, you know, hundreds and hundreds of people. I did the Rosary Cathedral downtown Toledo before as an altar boy too, and I got over it after a while. And then I took public speaking, and I was a regional, so you had to talk in front of people. And I used to hate it. I literally despised talking, and I always felt nervous, and I was a nerd back in the day, so, you know, I was picked on a lot, so I didn't. You know, it's a different experience. But these days I don't care. I just jump right into it. It's the only way you're going to make the good money and stuff, and get these connections and stuff, because Ed's going to be a good connection, and I'm going to be able to help him, and he's going to be able to help me. So we'll hopefully have a working relationship out of this too. He's talked about, you know, we're going to have probably a business convo for lunch or dinner one of these days, and we'll go from there, you know. So there's all kinds of contacts you can make. There's just so much stuff you can do out there. You know, he has some ins on estate dealers and stuff like that, and he might be able to turn me on to some things, and I might be able to turn him on to buyers and stuff as well, or sellers. So it's just one example. I mean, that's how you meet people. Jump in there and ask. Yep, Russer Raccoon. Lady Luck Junk, welcome. Hey, Larry. Larry, how you doing tonight? Yeah, just in time. Yeah, I get you on that. Clean out guys do that as well. It's just like there's a group of people, like if you go to a local live auction, the end of the night, you might start off with 50, 60 people at a local live auction. At the end of the night, by the end of the night, when everything's pretty well done and there's just table scraps of stuff that didn't sell, and he just blows it out in table scraps, sometimes there's only like 4 or 5 people there. I've been at an auction, and at the end of the auction, it was just me and one other guy. You want the table, you want the table, you know, how much you want to pay. It was nothing. And then we just walked out of there, and me and him just pretty much split it all. I walked out with, you know, the whole back seat full of tiny, small items that we made a lot of money on that everybody else thought was junk. I don't care. Sometimes we show up late just to get the scraps. You know, there's no eye on the stuff. It's, you know, it's dirt cheap at the end of the day. You know, pennies. Hey, Debbie, how you doing tonight? Good to have you on a live show. Always glad to see somebody out here. Let's go with the Johnsons. Friday the 13th there in the UK as well, too. I'll constantly forget the Truth Seeker. It's hard to get that Truth Seeker for Yeshua. Yeshua? I'm sure I butchered it. I'm sorry. I know you've been on here before. I pawned some jewelry because we needed the money. I had no clue how much it was worth, and he gave me $250. Asked how much I needed, and I felt like I got ripped off. I hated it. I've been there. We've been there. We've had to feed kids, and you know, had to pay rent or car note or something else. I've been there. I've been in that exact same spot. You know, I would trust this guy. You could have. You can get it back though. Don't forget. You know, if you just pawned it, as long as you're not selling it. You know, you can, you know, pawn it and come back and get it later if you can, or pay on it if it's something you really, really want. When that kind of stuff goes on, I just call around. Would be my best honest recommendation, in all honesty. Sorry to hear that, though, Junk Data Girl. You know, that's a tough one on that. You know, I wish there was an answer. Here, I know where I would go and I would feel comfortable enough. He's making money, I know it, you know. But out of all the ones around here, he's pretty straight up. You know, he's pretty honest with stuff. He gave me numbers and figures and stuff that I feel very comfortable he was being honest with. You know, so you got to find somebody you can trust. And unfortunately, until, you know, 4 years ago or so, I didn't know who I could trust. I feel I can trust these guys. It's the same people every time I'm in there. No big turnover. It's always busy, always polite, always takes the time to help me. Even before they knew YouTube or anything I did or any of that stuff, they've given me pieces and clasps and stuff, or offered to put something on a piece of jewelry real quick for me for no charge. So, you know, I can't knock them. Hey, Riffwood Thrifter, how are you doing tonight? Let me try and get to some questions here. I don't want to bump anybody off, but we're over an hour in, and again, I'm bad on getting to the questions. I've got over 120 people on right now. If you haven't hit that like button, slam that like button for me, please. Thank you for calling out, Duncan. I just saw that too. Notice West Coast sales compared to last year. I know it's shipping. I'm having West Coast sales, so it just depends, I guess, on what you're selling. The money is still there for collectibles, I guess you could say. I saw some Tahoe stuff the other day too for top dollar on it, and that was something that they were linen cards, just nothing descriptive. It was just lake shot scenes and stuff like that. It was a couple of them, and I got real good money for them too. So just one example. But I just sold a brochure. I mean, I've sold a lot of stuff. One time, you know, one day a week or so, probably the majority of the items go to California. At least for me. Again, I'm not trying to make light or little of any situations here whatsoever. It's hard for me to compare. And again, I'm not intentionally trying to, you know, I don't know. Let's just move on from there. I don't want anybody thinking I'm trying to dog on anybody. Oh, I get you, Justin. Scrap gold and metal, yeah. Hey, Karen, how are you doing this evening? For those in Patreon, there is a new video up today. It's I'm going into buttons, but I'm going into a way to identify uniform buttons, because I had a couple questions on a specific uniform that was shown. So, bottom line is, the buttons are how to identify. And I go into how to identify the specific wars and eras of buttons for you specifically. Just that's all it talks about. Just-in-time flipping. I do a lot of brass, copper, electronics for scrap. Not much gold and silver. I buy at auctions, and I'll buy big, I don't want to walk off again, but I've got a 20-pound box of, it's all gold-colored jewelry. And usually I'll spend, you know, an hour or two, and I'll go through with a loop, anything that looks like it's gold, and then I'll do it twice. I go through twice. I almost always find enough, you know, a couple $100s worth of gold out of those big lots like that. Or jars. Sometimes I'll buy the big jars from certain establishments. Most of them aren't worth the time. But auctions I do very well on stuff like that. Estate sales sometimes too. Sometimes I do a lot of pins, like employee service pins. 20-year service pin, stuff like that. And a lot of times the way the pin, it's usually one of the posts with the, it's like a two-piece solid gold colored back that matches. Sometimes they're actually gold too. I don't know what the type of it, but it looks like a little nail on the back of it. A lot of times that nail, when they mount that to the back, obliterates the markings for gold. So I find more of those that are scrap gold because they're not worth as much as a collectible as they are as gold. So, it just depends on what gold prices are. But that's where I find a lot of scrap are pieces like that. Or I find vintage jewelry that wouldn't have been marked because it's so old, and sometimes that's gold too. And I've been very lucky with that. We've even found platinum rings and stuff that weren't marked anything, but looked either to be white gold to me or platinum without a doubt, and sure enough, they were. In fact, that video at Ed's, you can see a ring in there that was 18 karat, and I was sold it as just junk, basically. But it was white gold. So, I do better on white gold and platinum sometimes because people do miss that. Especially, again, as I said, before a certain time, it wasn't marked. So you go to the old, around here, Old West End is where a lot of the old timers have the big old auctions and estate sales in the old, big old houses downtown. It's the old community, it's everything there is vintage when you go there. It's the best place, usually, the Old West End Festival. It's no secret. I don't go down there too much anymore these days just because it's always so packed these days. And I've got other sources, so I don't like, having to walk stuff for blocks because you got to park. God, trying to find a parking spot when that's going on is incredibly awful. We've parked blocks away, and I've had to haul out records for, blocks. And then you got to walk back to where you were to continue your day, and, it's usually worth the money, but I'm more low-key. I've got so many other places we can get stuff a little easier anyway. Less work and time, I guess. Let's see where we're at. Yeah, scrapping metal's just fine. Just throw it in a big bucket. Get a 5-gallon bucket. And usually if you want to know where to get those buckets at, like everybody uses, go to a restaurant. And usually they just throw them and recycle in the garbage. Like McDonald's, Wendy's. Pickles come in a big 5-gallon bucket if you didn't know it. They're not cut fresh for most of these restaurants. It's got a bunch of liquid in it. They're a big white 5-gallon bucket. And they got a handle on it. And you can hold them by the handle on some of these. And even the ones that don't have a handle, I'll get those sometimes too. But that's usually what I'll throw in scrap junk in. And then I just throw those in the back of the van, line them all up, and off I go. There's usually enough weight in them, they're not going to tip over anyway. What's the best way to sell a good lot of marbles? Marble-wise, I would pull out the real nice ones if there's any like swirls, or the fancy ones, the earlier ones with swirls and stuff, not like the common ones. All the other ones I just throw in a lot other than like specifics. I've got a video that covers on some of the marbles. I think if you literally type in marbles, I think it shows up maybe. Anyway, I bulk them. There's very few these days that I run into that are worth on their own. I now skip a lot where before I would just take anything. Yeah, I pass on more stuff these days than I ever have, just because I'm looking for the more higher quick turnarounds than anything. I get stuff and I'm offered stuff that's bulk too, so sometimes I'll buy a big bulk lot and I'll have to blow it out bulk just because I don't want to mess with it. Flipped for real, welcome as well. I don't get to Detroit this often right now. It's been a little while. Do you have any copyright-free articles? I'm thinking on creating a video for YouTube on sellers like yourself who give evidence-based information. You're allowed to quote certain articles in magazines and stuff like that. It's just like if you're writing a book, you can reference something in it. I don't know, depending on the specifics you're using, but I try to give out, what I see, David's Vintage, heading to Nashville for tea giving. Not sure what that is. The MT Picker, welcome tonight. If I love it, I sell it. I have a few things I get because it's a bolo. Yeah, I like selling stuff that I personally like, but these days I don't really care. Money's money. It's a full-fledged, every aspect of this is just business to me nowadays. Once in a while I'll keep stuff that I really like, but I don't do that too much. Hey Annie, how are you doing? Evening, morning, depending on where you're at. Definitely the case. Annie must live up in, I know you've told me, I think it's in the Boston area, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere up in that general area. I've been whale watching. We were chatting on a Patreon thing, talking about the map idea. I talk about a map in a couple videos ago, what to buy or stuff, what should I sell. I'm telling you, that map did me a world of good. And you know, I'm a pretty diligent person. That map opened my eyes to a lot of stuff for sourcing, and it's something simple. If I had it on the laptop or something, I may not have done it and may have, you know, just not messed with it. But if it's on the wall or something physical, you know, it's a little more of a thrill sticking a peg to fill in the gap. It's like completing a jigsaw puzzle to me. If you don't know what I'm talking about, check out the video there. It's just from a couple days ago. Nantique, how are you doing? I need to be someone's pocket. Need to be someone's pocket. How could I approach someone or find someone? I'm not sure what you're asking, Junking Data Girl. Aruna Muck, how are you doing? Eric, how are you doing as well? Eric Sutton. Marie, how are you doing as well? Last sales are slow. I offer 3 days shipping. Do you think going to 1 day would help get things moving or get my item moved up in the search? I do 1 day shipping. I can't guarantee you on specifics. I don't know what you're selling, Carolina Carolina Pick, sorry. I do it on everything. I do shipping 6 days a week too. I ship Monday through Saturday, every single day, day in and day out. If we're out of town and we're not here, someone's here doing it for us as well too. I don't shut off. I don't do anything. The other thing to get your sales going is to list every single day, like 10 items at least or 20, whatever you can list. Even if you can only list 5 items, list 5 items every single day of the week. You know, and something else that somebody else told me, and I haven't checked this out either, but it's somebody that that pays attention and is an intelligent person. They list about the same time every day, and it seems to pay off listing at the same time. And I didn't ask them what specific time of the day because I don't think that was the idea they were getting at. I think it's the fact that it's a routine that they're doing day after day after day after day, and I think the eBay's logarithm or whatever you want to call it picks up on it on that. Hey Charles, how are you doing this evening? You saw the answers, hopefully, Charles, on that one there for that question you had. There is a new video, as I said. That's fake. I've already called them. Did I miss something? I'm not sure what was fake on that. Be interested to hear that, Sharif Hoffman. Hey, Chris, how are you doing? Chris Napier. If you follow the link to actually sign up, the page will error out and say you haven't been invited yet. I'm taking it you're talking about managed payments. I've had a link for that for like a long time. I have to keep clicking the X to get it off my screen. Michelle, you can send eBay your reseller certificate for sales tax. Yes, you can. There's a link to it. I have shown it in a video. You have to get the one that the state offers no matter where you're from. So don't get something locally or print off something. Look at the specifics that eBay wants. They want the state certified one because I can take a letter from the county around here and just give it to a like a box manufacturer and they'll take that. But eBay wants the state filled out slip, which has less information than the county one that I got, which is screwy. The county one has everything. The state one is just basics. And you type up the state one. The county one is something printed that you can't alter, so it makes no sense why they want that. But Chris, I hate managed payments. I want my money instantly so I can ship with it. There's a hold on PayPal payments too, you know, so I don't worry because we always keep, you know, like 3,000 or 4,000 in our shipping account just in case. Again, it depends on your level. I can't say on your level. You got to invest in the business, so it's going to be a drawback, I should say. I would tell you. I didn't look into all that because I don't worry about when the money comes anymore these days. You know, I got money from other sources, and you know, maybe once every 2 or 3 weeks, we'll transfer like a lump sum out of one of the PayPal accounts that we have or something, and you know. Having multiple accounts is a plus, I can tell you for sure, too. Having a couple business accounts, one for payroll, one for accounts payable, and then one for your business in general, like your general slush fund for business, like a purchasing account. And then your own personal business accounts. That's how every business should have it. You should have an EIN number no matter what you're doing if you're running a business. I don't care if you're having employees or not. Get an EIN number, and then you're entitled to bank accounts and all kinds of other services. Bank accounts for a business are usually free to start. At least they are around here. Anyone that doesn't give me free, I don't know if I want to even mess with them too. At least the initial starting of the bank account. I have had a boost since I went to manage payments. See, there's Charles telling you he's had a boost. Again, I'm going to have to call them tomorrow on that because I swear that global shipping was supposed to be an option. They said the same thing with PayPal, and PayPal is instantly in the new managed payment system. I don't see any issues whatsoever with the managed payment for PayPal. And I don't use global shipping to go to the majority of the countries that I ship to these days. We ship to like 10 straight out, and those are where most of my overseas sales goes these days. I did lose top rated in one country or one zone because I just want to mess with it, and it all had to be global because I wasn't going to ship there. So I'm not worried about that market there because it wasn't enough to sway it. So, just take it that way. Don't use global shipping if you have that issue. Just ship direct to some countries. Most of the countries I ship to speak English at least as a second language. So France, Germany, England, obviously, countries like that is where I ship to. Canada, Mexico I will ship to as well. Australia always, Japan always. I even was going to open up China in all honesty, but I haven't done that as of yet. Question, what about shipping only after payment clears? Is there an indication that buyer's payment cleared? Yeah, I don't pay. I would have to look into that because literally, there's always money in my accounts. I always keep extra in there just in case. I never know what's going to come through. I don't know where everybody's in their business. And again, I'm not trying to make light of anybody at all. In my world, I don't worry about anything like that. I know what it's like to do that though. Trust me, that's the majority of my life until the last, say, 5 years. I've always had to worry about that. We live paycheck to paycheck just like everybody else, but things have changed, thank God for the better for us. But again, I've worked really hard, and I've been up since 6:30 doing this. At 6:30 I took my youngest son to school, dropped him off, and ever since then I've been running. And I mean running because I just sat down 2 minutes before I started this live show today. Had it all set up, but I had employees here till 6:30 this evening. 3 of them, so. Midwest Pick Strange, I have heard nothing about bad with managed payments. I have heard the opposite. I've used managed payments. I've used it. Use it once. Find a site find something you need and buy it from somebody who has managed payments. You're going to see that there's no difference. You're just going. Click the PayPal button in managed payments, and it's just like you're paying with PayPal right now. Before you switched, it's literally that easy. But on top of having PayPal, it has there's multiple boxes on the left side of the screen, and you just click on your payment options, charge card or whatever you want to do. You can store them. You don't have to store them. It's just like on Amazon almost, I don't have any issues. We buy a lot of stuff. I bought the cord off Amazon, Let's pop down here. Where do they deposit your money to if you have managed payments? Bank account. It depends on how you have it set up. Hey, Aaron, how are you doing this evening? Yeah, I haven't chatted you back on there. I didn't see that till earlier today, and I haven't even been on Instagram but for a moment this evening, Aaron. I'll shoot you back tomorrow. Yep, that's my main problem with it. I signed up, and once you sign up, you cannot get out. They were letting a couple. I know they let some folks out the first time they initiated it because the way they did it, but I know they're not letting them out now, from what I understand. I honestly am just going to go with it. You're going to be stuck in it anyway. I've used it, as I said. It's easy. It's just as easy as you're paying with PayPal. You have the PayPal option. There's very few times that the global shipping even goes into play unless it's from China, and usually they'll use the airline Inc. thing, which means that there's a company, and I think it's in California, that buys for people. Though I can't remember, the Ship America or something like that. That's usually what they use these days anyway. I don't have many using the global shipping because Ship America, or again, whatever it's called, it's got airline something in the name. It's a company that purchases stuff for other people, and then they'll ship it to them. I'll ship it to this other company, and then from there, it's just like global shipping, but it's cheaper than eBay's version of it. That's what most of them seem to do these days. So, in all honesty, I'm not going to worry about the global shipping aspect of it. Again, because I ship directly to the countries that I make the most money at anyway already. Yeah, eBay or PayPal has the instant payments you have to pay for. I don't pay. I just whatever it takes. It only takes one business day to go to my bank account anyway. Usually it's just sets in there, and to the end of the month is usually what I do. Now, the global shipping is just the global shipping program that you couldn't use. That was the initial one. You can ship overseas as long as it's a direct ship. So that's the difference. The global shipping was an issue. But again, global shipping was an issue for the labels, and I printed up global shipping labels the other day. So anyway, I know you didn't ask me, but that makes a difference to me. On everyone wants things ASAP also. I am looking at what's trending, solds and things people are trying to get for holidays. For holidays, most people who want to get stuff for holidays got it last year in November, December. I'm being honest with everybody. If you want the hot Christmas items, other than the ones that might hit a store as an RA item, all the wholesale and the purchases where you're going to make a bunch and have multiples of the same item, those were already signed up a year plus ago. So the ones you're looking at now are just RA items from stores in my book. There's a bunch of stuff you can still get. Don't get me wrong. 1987 Ventures LLC, how are you doing? What are your thoughts on offer to buyers or lowering your price in fourth quarter? I don't lower my price in fourth quarter. Fourth quarter, I get more for my items. So I really don't lower my price at all in fourth quarter. I do offers to buyers occasionally. But in all honesty, I haven't done a sale. I haven't done, but I think a dozen or so offers to watchers in the last month plus. I don't need to. I'm selling enough that I'm not going to mark down. We were going to take even some of the old items off of it, but I started to sell them. I think it's literally because they're ranking on Google now. I honestly, I don't know what else to rack it up to. It's the only thing that makes sense, because if I search a lot of my items, I find them on ranking in Google on the first or second page, which is pretty good. I've got otter items, so you're not going to have a big variety to choose from to put up for the search, and that only works if you let them run and constantly run and relist themselves over and over again. It's all tied to the same basic title and everything else. If you end them and list them and all this other stuff, you're just killing your ranking. That's the internet. That's what you got to look out for. That's why eBay's doing it. That's why Amazon is so successful, because their items show up at almost every search you do for any item is Amazon's on that first page. The ranking is key, because more people than ever before do not go to a platform to look for items. They go to a Google search or Alexa or something along that line. They're not going to a specific site. 30% of a lot of you out there right now, our sales are coming from off platform. Look at your marketing tab in the hub. It's going to tell you where your business is coming from. That number is important. Even if it's 5 or 10%, that's 5 or 10% from your ranking off of the platform. If you let the stuff run and more of it ranks, you're going to sell more of those items. It's a no-brainer. I mean, you can do whatever you want, you can try whatever you want, but the ranking, seems to work. I've watched other channels, including a couple out there, and I don't want to call it other channels, but they hit over 100,000 the other day. They just let it ride. They do bins, everything else. I'm telling you, it's for me, even vintage, even new, I do very well with our model, our setup. I don't worry at all anymore. It rolls in, and I can almost set my clock to our income these days. But don't lower them for fourth quarter. Your things sell more. They sell higher. I hold on to stuff occasionally, certain items, just to get more money out of them in fourth quarter. It depends on what they are. A lot of items I just list high, whatever they're at, and if they sit there till Christmas, and I list them in January and they sit there for 12 months, I'll let them sit there for 12 months. I pay, it's a quarter a year to list any item. I could care less about a quarter. You can always recoup it by adding a handling fee if you really want to, too, so just keep that in mind. I'm still with the PayPal processing, not sure how long that will last from what I hear. Again, if you're only taking PayPal in the first place, if you take managed payments, it's the same thing. They can pay PayPal exactly the same way as they pay right now, but they have more options. They can just pay with a charge card. There's a lot of older folks who do not want to set up a PayPal account. I still get people asking, can I pay with a check for postcards? Just FYI, I get it all the time. Not, like a weekly, but 2 or 3 times a month somebody asks me that question. Carl, how are you doing tonight? If you stopped listing, how long could you live on the residual income from eBay? Me or a specific? I could live for a very long time on what's up right now. On just the store I share with you, there's close to $1 million worth of inventory. I've showed that page before. You can see my inventory total. That's just that store. Obviously, we have other stores and other accounts, but there's $1 million just up on there. You know, you can guesstimate, you know, a sell-through rate. Obviously, you won't be able to find a true one just because you can't see all my listings in the ended, but yeah, Moki Girl said she did get a message on that. If you get a chance and feel comfortable, you can send me a copy of that. You can blurt out your name if you're interested. I do have a email address, which is auctionprofessor@att.net. That is my email address if you're curious and want to send that off. And I promise you I'll call eBay if you send me that and see what they say about it. One more week and I'll be set up at the Lakewood 400 Antique Market in Georgia. Can't wait to see how it all goes. Anyone that's looking me up, I'm in Hall H. Whereabouts Antique Market in Georgia, Lakewood? How far from Detroit is that, Hauptmann? Not Detroit, I'm sorry, Atlanta. I'm thinking of airports. Just curious. I've been to a few flea markets in Atlanta, including Glen Burn and a few areas like that. Sharif's telling you that that's a fake email. There is no deadline. Anchor Support told me when I called them today. The email is a mistake. There is no deadline. So call them up on that, Moki Girl. That is not true is what he's telling you. I was going to say, I haven't heard anything on that either from anybody. You are the only one who has told me that. And I've talked to 100+ people in the last 2 days, in all honesty. At least in a brief chat or something. Yeah, there's some more conversation if somebody else got one of those too. Just call eBay, because I couldn't imagine them doing that. Well, thank you, Sue. Yeah, my son's terrible on certain things, and he's awkward and stuff, just like I am. But you know, he's a whiz on that science stuff. I mean, I don't want to give anything away, but he's got patent pending on something that I'm dumbfounded. You know, and he did it all himself. I mean, we're going to do a Kickstarter for it. So, you know, I'm not trying to call out to get people to do it, but some company will want it, in my opinion. I mean, it's just something. Anyway, you'll see it one of these days here. Yeah, thank you, Maria. Thank you as well. Yeah, there is a deadline year. I mean, they have set that by this point everything's going to be switched over. I'm sure they've been trying to get all the kinks out. Yeah, we do make offers sometimes, as I said, and I don't lower anything for Christmas. Yes, the email long one was an error. Junking Data Girl saying the same thing. It was an error, Moki Girl, so. Let's see here. I got a pop. Let's go with the Johnson. I got a pile of stamps and a mixed lot at an auction. Have no idea where to start. You know, I go over those in Patreon, but stamps are a whole new world for most people. You can make a lot of money. You can, I mean, make an insane amount of money. I can go to a stamp show and make money from a stamp show these days because they're only into stamps. They don't look at it from other categories besides stamps when they're selling stuff like that. So I'll just give you that little hint there. Let me move on here. Yeah, I saw that count on big sales with these items. I didn't even open the email. I don't read any of that stuff from eBay, Hoffman. So maybe I got it too. But if that is the one you're talking about, that's that big long one that somebody else told me too, and Data Girl too said. So I would say that is a error in their behalf because I haven't seen anything else like that personally. Action required, so I thought I had to sign up. I wished I wouldn't have. They tricked me, and I'm not happy about it. Play it out and see what happens, Chris. I mean, it's not the end of the world. Everybody's going to have to do it at some point. You know, if something happens like that, I just try to work around it and fix it. But in my honest opinion, if you didn't do But 1 or 2 global shipping program sales a month, I would just go with it and not worry about it. I can almost guarantee you from the majority of people told me they got more sales out of it because it offered more chances and ways to pay. It's similar, honestly, in ease, efficiency, and every other aspect as Amazon is. And I'm not lying. Again, the boxes, if you purchase boxes or pay for the taxes, I should say, from your free boxes, it's managed payments. It was a click, two clicks. And everything tied in. I didn't have to do anything or bring PayPal over or anything else. It was there and done. It was a done deal. Call eBay too. If you get any notice like that, I always call eBay. If it says I'm supposed to do something, the first thing I do is call on the phone. I stop reading it and I ask, what's going on with this first thing straight out. Get the name to light up when responding. Put. Yeah, sometimes it does that and sometimes it doesn't light up, honestly. I don't know what the deal is. Hey, Tess, how are you doing? Justin, good evening. Do you have any copyright? Okay, we already got that one. I'm sorry. Oh, if you mean I've got articles that I've written. I do have stuff that I've written, but I'm not. That's only for personal. The Spazzy Lab, just taking pics and listening in. Well, welcome. You're always glad to have somebody around. Dublin, that's what it was. Yeah, Jeffries Mary is the one that I've been to and made some money there. It's that antique mall. I think it's past. It's like an hour outside of Toledo, maybe, or 45 minutes, something like that. He's acting desperate with this managed payment thing, almost like there's a financial backer pressuring them for results, so they pressure us to sign up. Maybe, I don't know. At this point, I'm not. I added the 25 cents in already, so when I hit it, I don't have to do anything later on as a handling fee. No one's said a word about it, and I did that months ago. I think I did it in a video, actually, how to avoid paying that fee. Ed's thoughts, well, thank you very kindly. John, that's what I've been working on my own site. Yep, that's definitely same here. You own the rules. Yes, Junking Data Girl. That is a key plus. You just have to be able to get the traffic, so, that's a key thing there. Every item you sell on eBay, there's no law that says you can't include a card with your site number on it. That's the one case I would say if you're trying to get your own site going, send out cards and tell them that you offer them a better deal or something. I don't see anything wrong with that. eBay can't control what you discuss with your customer after they've made the purchase on the site. Anyone on the PayPal email about signing up for Ecom Dash? I got an offer for Ecom Dash the other day. I've looked over the whole thing, Ecom Dash. They sent me something personally, so I may. I've been looking into that too, and I've been playing around with that. It looks a little easier than Sellbrite. I know I got stuff up on Sellbrite now, but I hate to say it, but I may switch for money-wise because I'm cheap. So Ecom Dash is cheaper than Sellbrite, which I was surprised. Are you a collector? Welcome. Good evening to you as well. I picked up 9 marked 6-inch plastic Vikings the other day because of you have shared. The Vikings should do very well if they're 6 inches. I haven't run into a Viking 6-inch figure. Probably marked 1967 on the back and Roman numerals on the base of it. I want to say the shield one with the sword is probably one of the harder ones to get because the sword usually breaks off. But those should do you very well. $10-15 a piece, maybe even more than that. Like there's Marvel ones of those 6-inch figures. I've gotten like I can't remember the Spider-Man one. I want to say I got like $80 for one of those not too long ago. Let's see here. Let me try and get to some questions. Got a lot of bogus. I don't check my emails from PayPal at all. It's unnecessary. I just check my page every single day. I log into PayPal every day of the week. So I never look at any emails from PayPal or eBay. If it's not going through eBay's site, I don't even see it. If it's not going through PayPal's site, I don't even see it. Those are all sent to my trash bin because I get hundreds of stuff like that. I don't look at any emails from eBay or PayPal. I'm telling you right now, none of them, not a single one. Everything comes through the site. If it doesn't come through the site, don't look at it. Just delete it. They will send you a notice in eBay if it's important. I can tell you for sure. That is what they've done for years. That is right beside the name with no space on it. Okay. Welcome, Jacob. Yeah, Duncan's people attend all the stamp shows in the States and all that. Again, that's what I'm saying. There's people that will do this, the legwork for you. Yeah, it's going to cost you, but in many cases they go to like big international sales and big regional sales that there's just, 1,000, 2,000 pounds of stamps going off, and they'll end up getting big, huge bulk lots for a reasonable amount. So I'm sure that's what Duncan's doing. I've dealt in something similar to that too as well. I've done this for a long time. This is all I do. So, I've tried everything you can think of until we found what works for us. Let me slide down and get some more questions. I'm sorry. I'm missing a name. I apologize. I just want to get some more questions. We're almost to the end here, and we've... Is that the same reason you get out of books? I'm not sure what we're talking about. I got out of books because they changed the storage fees and the processing fees and all that stuff. And books used to be your bread and butter would be like $5 to $10 books. You could just sell, like 100 $5 to $10 books a day back in the day because there weren't many scanners back then. Nowadays, there's a scanner at every store, and sometimes there's 3 and 4, and even the book sales are packed with scanners around here because there ain't much else left. So scanning is key around here. I don't do it because I don't like to fight. Oh, I had a little thing on Instagram the other day about the school books that I picked up for free from UT that the teachers were giving out, and sold the first one for $75 straight out. I'm very happy because it was free, and probably sell the other one too because everybody's got to have their books within a week, so they should be out the door. We've done this many times. I've gotten, I don't know, a couple $1,000s of the free books from UT, from the university here. At certain times of the year, they just put them out on tables. Now, you'd have to go into campus and do it, but, that's no big deal, so anyway. Rockbert or Aruda. I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong. Hit postcards you can do too. It's pretty much free to cross list and all that kind of stuff. I may do something on hit postcards too in the real near future here. I sell on, again, 9 platforms we make money on. So hit postcards is about the only one. You can sell postcards on Amazon. You can sell postcards on Etsy as well. It's more selective. You do better on Etsy with like Christmas seasonal postcards, really, in all honesty. There's a lot of competition now on Etsy with postcards. There didn't used to be as much as there was before, but those are like the 4 platforms I would sell postcards on, in all honesty. You won't get a lot of traction on Amazon. You'd really want to be on Gated and Collectibles, and from what it looks like, I haven't heard of anybody else getting on Gated and Collectibles. We've been on Gated for, I don't know, 3-4 years. It took us a month, but I've been hoping I could get somebody else on Gated. I even gave copies of what we submitted, and still no go on gating. Some people got a little farther in the process, but I don't know what it is. They're just pretty much locked the category. But again, I can list anything I want. Collectibles. I can list DVDs, CDs, records, VHS tapes, DVDs, Blu-rays, all that in entertainment collectibles. As long as it's not a brand new item or something, we can sell used CDs all day long. I know that a lot of people don't have that ability, but they have to be really nice CDs, even in collectibles. Don't screw around on that. I know people send in inferior. I'll swap out cases left and right. I'll even buy empty CD cases if I need to send something in. As long as the paperwork's there, it's got to be complete. You can't send it in. If it was a yellow CD case and you want to sell it and you don't have the yellow CD case, I wouldn't sell it on Amazon, in all honesty, because it wouldn't match the ones that they have on there already. And all the badly worded Apple emails. I don't have any of that stuff. I don't even read that stuff, so. Yeah, again, I don't read any of the emails, and it's not important. If they want you, they'll tell you through eBay or the site. Penny asked an estate sale the other day if they had any postcard. The lady said if we did, it would be in an album with a price on each card. That's fine too. I would be fine looking at that. We find them in albums too. Tanya, good evening. Let's go with Johnson's. No death pile here either. I call it my pile of potential. Nothing is a death pile here because usually I'll buy a big bulk of something. Like the stamps, for example. I can pull out a couple stamps and I will get almost all of my money back out of this 4 or so boxes of these from just a couple stamps. Again, I know my stamps, so I knew what I was looking at. Nancy, I had my largest single item sold or a sale today for 400. It was a small limited edition chalkware Santa that I paid $5 for. I did a video on chalkware. Chalkware is the bomb. It's probably one of those little ones that looks more like an old world Santa Claus, I would guess, with the long beard and probably the slouchy suit on. Those are usually the ones. $5 if it was small. Unless you're talking about a limited. Maybe that's a new one you're talking about there. I know there's some of the earlier ones with the old world Santa that does very well. Brittingham, welcome, Tanya. Did I miss somebody? Yeah, probably did. Oh, I'm sorry. There you are, Tanya. Good evening. Yes, sorry. My feed again is all over, so. Yeah, I know. I'm behind on the questions. Yeshua, I'm sorry if I pronounced it wrong again. Yeah. Thanks, Duncan. Everything's online. Yeah, I don't do any TV. For the last 16 plus years, if it wasn't online, we didn't watch it. My kids don't know what regular TV or satellite is. I mean, maybe at a friend's house, but they've never had it here, and they've never missed it. Bad dog. Well, thank you. Presto Magic sits. They're probably sealed in little packets like this, or they have little racks at the top with say magic trick on them, I'm guessing. And I have sold those. The wife found them. We were at a warehouse sale, and there was boxes of these things literally from the manufacturer, and we split those up into like lots of 10 and 15 and then sold. I had like 500 little tiny magic kits. Some of them were like finger tricks, some of them were like fake coins. Some of them were like palming kits, so you could palm something with like this little device that goes around your face. All kinds of stuff like that. Magic stuff sells very, very well. I'll show you some 8x10s in another video here soon. I've got a whole bunch of 8x10s, including a whole bunch of autographed ones and stuff. I got a signed David Copperfield in there too. Not a big high dollar one. I've got Ziegfeld and Roy stuff, like candid photos at one of their birthday parties. These are real images, mind you, not mass produced. This is like somebody who's a magician. I was lucky enough to get some from an estate collection, and I scored out on these. I paid $25 for like 60 musician 8x10s. Most of them are signed, but not all of them. There's a real famous one. His son, Blackstone Jr. is in here, and his is signed too, including some sketches that he hand drew, which I thought was really interesting. Grumpy is hard to watch. You talking about John, Kent? John is a real good guy, I think. He's just business, and he's just him. I get that kind of person because I guess I'm a little out there, and people say I'm hard to watch too because, again, I'm anal about things, anal retentive about things. So John knows his stuff, I would say. So, take what you want. He tells you he's grumpy and stuff like that. So I don't know. I get a kick out of him. He reminds me of a uncle of my wife's that used to badger me. Uncle John was his name, honestly, too. He was used to kind of make fun of me because I was the Yankee down in the South. But I get it. I get the humor. I get him. I mean, I understand it. I'll put it that way. Yeah, I don't think I'm commercial free unless you got. We've got YouTube Red, so I don't know what has commercials and what doesn't. I've never seen a video of mine without YouTube Red on, honestly. Let me get down to some more questions. I know I'm running later now. Yes, I'm in Boston. I thought you said that. Yeah, we went up. Hang on, I'm sorry. My son's out somewhere. I'll get that in a little bit. We spent some time and we went up to Brimfields, and I know some people sent me some photos. Thank you for those photos of Brimfields. Yeah, it brought back a lot of memories for those who sent them. I was up there for a while. We flew in. I worked in the Boston area. I stayed in Saugus. We stayed at the House of Seven Gables, and I know Annie talked about it too. I don't remember exact specifics, but we booked them at the House of Seven Gables. We spent 2 nights there. It's like a bed and breakfast. I loved the area in Boston, I have to say. It was really nice. We flew in extra early days even just to hang out up there, just because it was so nice. So anyway, We went whale watching off Gloucester, right down from the Gorton's fisherman statue. The Gorton's fisherman guy that's on the box of Gorton's Seafood, there's a bronze statue that looks out into the ocean right there in Gloucester. If you've ever been in the area, it's really nice. We drove up the whole coast. I spent a lot of time in New England up there, Connecticut, all the way. I mean, we went all over up there. It was a really pleasant trip. We flew into Portland up in that area as well, too. It was really just a pleasant trip all the way around. Mahani Palmer Lee. I'm sure I butchered it. I'm sorry. Just came across your channel today. Love your videos. Very informative. Thank you very kindly. Hey, Debbie, how are you doing? What is the Patreon you have talked about? It's a paid page. I've got some basic ones that are just to donate to help out the channel for like $1.99, I think, and then $5 and then a $9.99. The $9.99 one's the one you get all the videos, all the content. Anything from my other channel, The Art Professor, will be up there as well. There'll be some exclusive material that just goes up there. People post photos now, give my honest opinion on them. I learned something from one of the guys in there last night too. He had a door knocker, which I've never seen one without a backplate, and I learned something new on that one. So he found an item that I would have thought and probably walked right by. But again, you learn something every day. I mean, it's just a never-ending learning experience in my book. But mostly it's a lot. I think I put up video 83. There's 83, at least I'd say 20 minutes to an hour long videos in there. Plus there's other links from other pages. There's quite a few Patreons in here right now, but it's just content. I'm not going to promise you anything. I am working on guides, though, for stuff from this point going forward. Just because I got a lot of comments and questions, and I went back and forth with somebody for a while, not like argumentative, just, friendly about guides and stuff. Somebody in my Patreon. In fact, there was 2 that I talked to about it. And I really think that'll be a better plus. I'm not going to stop doing videos or anything. Once the guides are there, I don't have to do them again. They're going to be published as full-fledged books. They'll be self-published on Amazon. There'll be ebook versions of them as well available when it's done. So anyway, hopefully that answers it. You can go to the page, and there is I think I've got one video that's open to everybody, just by going to the page, just for an example. I don't remember which one, but if you go there, you should at least see one, I do believe. If not, that'll be on my list of stuff to do, post one video at least so you can see what it is. Balta Leon, how are you doing? Well, thank you as well for supporting the show. Talking about how no one cares about your problems. I care about the issues in general in this whole reselling area, because this is my market. This is what I sell in. If other people are having issues with stuff, it's going to affect me as well, too, because they're in the same business as I am. So I do pay attention and try to help out what I can. Some things I won't mess or touch with. It's just better left to you call on eBay or PayPal or something as well. I call them for other people occasionally when I'm puzzled. And only maybe so because I'm curious on the answer myself. Even if it doesn't affect me, I do that occasionally too. But I'm sure eBay gets aggravated. You may want to leave a comment after the video loads, like I said. Oh, thank you, Marie. Yeah, I don't know if you're talking about articles that I've written. I don't write for anything other than myself these days. I've been working on a novel, and the wife and I have been doing some kids book stuff. If you're making, I don't approve anybody to use my content to publish anything that would make you money. That would violate my copyright on my material, just FYI. So no, I wouldn't have anything from YouTube that would be copyright free. Everything is the property of this channel. I have found people using my exact videos, and I've got the watermark option, which I may have to use. There's a couple foreign sites that have every one of my videos on their site, and I had to go through a world trying to get them down. And then what happened after I got them down, they signed up on another under another name, just did it again. So I don't know what else you can do about it. It's just too much time to waste on stuff like that. Hey, Disney Family 515, do you think vintage print ads are a good fit with Etsy? I don't know. I haven't done any on Etsy yet on print ads. I have put them on Amazon and sold some on Amazon. Etsy, I have not done. I've been hesitant on that. Unless they're like a big lot and maybe you want to put decoupage in the title, maybe something along that line, because that's what most people on Etsy I see do with them. They'll make like a purse or some little artsy thing for the wall or something with stuff like that. I've seen hallways that were just lined with decoupage print ads, just all in different directions. All it looks pretty neat. My wife did some like paper bag walls, and it's all that stuff's really a hot fad right now. So it's iffy. I haven't tried it. Maybe I'll look into that because that's a thing that's open for people too. So does anyone on here have blogs or websites on selling tips? There's a lot of other YouTubers that have them, and most of them are like paid. You got to pay to be a member of their group. Most YouTubers, I could probably tell you, are going to say the same thing, that it's their material. They wouldn't want you using it to produce or do anything else on YouTube that could potentially slander, damage, or unintentionally damage, or give anybody else revenue. That would be a no-no in my book, at least from anything I've talked to. Any of the ones I know wouldn't allow it. But I don't know everybody, so, I haven't talked to everybody about that. So, you might want to just send some emails out. Well, thank you, Balta. I appreciate that. Debbie, go to your hub, and there's a mark. I don't have a page opened here, or do I? No, I don't have one open. Otherwise, I'd give you directions right now. But it's in the hub. I think it's under marketing. It's on the far right side of your tabs. I can't remember what it's called. I'm so used to seeing it and just clicking. Maybe it's marketing or the one right after marketing. Analyticals. I don't remember what it says. I see it every day too. It's terrible, but it's the tab, I think, past marketing. I think that's what it says. But if you look down, there's a bunch of charts down there, and you can select the time frame, and it'll say source, whether it's on-site or off-site. The average I've been hearing is anywhere from 10 to 30% of most online sellers' accounts on eBay are from off-site. So, and I've seen some as high as 50%. But they're selling over and over again the same type of wholesale items, so that's probably why it's so high. We're going to have to end it here in just a couple moments. We're almost at the ballpark end here, and I got more mail coming in. Email. I just signed on for the managed payments with one of my accounts, looking forward to see what glitches pop up. I haven't had any glitches on our other account, Hoffman, just FYI. 40 miles north of airport. That might be the one we were at one time, I want to say. You get to it off of 75, I'm guessing. Aaron needs to find a more high income market. Categories. Categories are it. We've centered in on, you see what I sell. I try to center in on specific categories that give us the biggest profit. Again, I tracked it all on paper, so I don't even need to worry about the items until I know what's making us the most profit by looking at figures, math. I'm doing math. Well, thank you kindly, Mary. We're still in the process, he's got to shell out some money for it, obviously. But I honestly, we're going in on it. We're going to help him out with it, but I really think that it's something that has potential. What's the, Thomas, what's the minimum number of items one should start with selling an item? There's no minimum. Just whatever you find that's worth selling. Look it up, research it. Camel, keep it. Whatever you're using, you're going to have some information. Amazon has some good information on your profit margins just by scanning it on the Amazon Seller app. It's on your phone. I mean, that's what I use, as well as other apps. Depends on what kind of thing I'm looking for. Some people only have one or two items on Amazon, and they make a ton of money on it. It depends on what you're doing, what your profit margins are, how much of it you can get. There's so many factors. I can't give you any number. Most people will tell you, 500, 1,000 listings on eBay is the most anybody should ever need, but we've got tens of thousands of listings, and it's no big deal for us. We don't pay much for them, a nickel at most for a month for an item to relist, or 2 cents depending on if it's the first 10,000 or where it falls into our listing time frame. Sunday Funday, Pamela Saban. I've been on managed payments since start and been getting overseas orders. I do my own shipping. They ship straight from there. As I said, you can ship straight from your own location. You don't have to use global shipping. You can block out countries you don't want to ship to and just go global. I ship to most countries, England, France, Germany, Japan, Australia, Canada, and Mexico. I shipped straight to those countries. No global shipping ever. Up to 4 pounds. Never had an issue. At least with those countries. Yeah, I think I better let it go, and I hate to cut you off. I know I don't always get to all the questions. If you haven't hit the like button, slap that like button there for me too. I do appreciate everybody coming on tonight. I know I get long-winded. I'll try to do better on getting to the questions. Hopefully the wife will be on next week. We've been busy. She's been doing other things, trying to get caught up on some other things too, with kids and all the other aspects of it. It's really kind of hard to tie us each together at the same spot sometimes. So anyway, she will be back on. Just not trying to ignore anybody, but she has been doing a lot of work for us and stuff. So, we do what we can. So anyway, I appreciate everybody coming on. Again, I am the Auction Professor on Facebook. I am the Auction Professor on Patreon, Instagram as well. I have a business page on Facebook also. If you want to contact me, I do have an email address. The auctionprofessor@att.net is my email address if you want to send me something. But that's how you can contact me. I don't get to too many emails. I do try, but again, I can't even answer most of the questions or comments these days at all. It's just too many coming in. On a given day, I might get 100 just comments on my YouTube videos just on one day. So there's no way I can hit those. And then if you add in Facebook and all the other stuff, I try to do 48 hours on my Patreon group, but the best I can do at this point, just because we do have some medical issues with one of my kids. So anyway, appreciate everybody coming on. Hopefully you're having a good day. I will be back next Thursday. Tentative new live show coming on with somebody else too. So I will shoot that out to you when I have some more info. Have a good evening.